Good evening and welcome to the 12th Dimension.
Hello.
With me, Deborah, and Teri Lynge-Kehl.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us again.
Yes, thank you.
Fingers crossed the internet will not shut down anywhere in the world tonight.
Let's hope not.
Yeah. So thanks again for coming back on.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so very much for having me back.
No, it's great. It's a pleasure. So, as we was talking off air then, we said we was going to mention about an encounter that you and your husband had. Was it back in 2019?
Yes, actually it was 2019. We lived in Lakeland, Florida, and we had been just going out that evening because we had some cows that were from a pasture way down south of us. And every now and then these cows would get out of their, encampsure, and they would make their way into the green swamp, which was right directly behind our home in Florida. We lived in this really nice area, and our house backed up to the green swamp. So our backyard was this massive, beautiful, just green swamp, and so beautiful. We had a lot of water, some sinkholes in the back and things like that out in our back, what we called 40. It was about 1.5 acres back from us. And so we heard these cowbells coming, and I thought, oh, the cows are coming again, so let's get out there and let's check them out, because they're massive, huge cows. These things were really, really big. Yeah. And I wanted to get out there to see them. So, we grabbed the dogs, and we have 2 little chihuahuas, and I think we just had one of them. We just had Lovey with us at that time. And so my husband was holding Lovey, and we're walking out to the back, and we get out to the 1.5 acres out, and the cows are coming back, and they're going to this huge, huge sinkhole. And to the left of the sinkhole is more green swamp. It's just to kind of set that, scenario up for you. So it's nothing but trees, palm bushes, lots of grasses, and water. Okay, so we're watching the cows come up and start drinking from the pond. And I see something in my peripheral left view, and I looked over. We're not out Sasquatching. We're not looking for anything. We're out looking for the cows. We just want to see the cows. And Kevin's holding our little Chihuahua Lovey, and he's looking over towards the cows, and she's looking over towards the cows. But I turned to look to the left, and what I saw was so shocking. It absolutely, it was like it took my breath away, because I wasn't expecting to see a damn thing, a darn thing. Whoops. And
All
so
right.
as I was
It's all
looking,
right.
I went, oh, like that. And my mind was trying to wrap itself around what I was actually seeing. And it was at least a 9 to 10 foot tall, massively huge Bigfoot.
Wow.
And his head was big, and his shoulders came right out from the head. There was like no neck at all. It just came right out, and they were massive big. And he was pure black. I could see no other color on him. I could see that he had somewhat of a humanish, but not ape-ish face. From where I wasn't that close to him, but I could still see. I can't see close up very well, but I can see far away pretty darn well.
Yeah.
And so I could see that he was just standing there. And I thought, you've got to be kidding me. And so I went, oh, Kevin. And Kevin wasn't really looking at me. He was engrossed in looking at the cow. And 2 or 3 cows had now come to the water, and the dog was looking at them. And all of a sudden, I'm pointing and I'm trying to get out, Kevin, and as I screamed, Kevin, this Bigfoot took 3 massive footsteps back into the wooded area. And we lost sight of him, but I saw him better because I had already kind of put that together in my mind. I was watching what I was seeing. I could see him backing up, but his footsteps backwards were huge. I mean, it was almost like foom, 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 and he was gone.
Yeah.
And nothing else moved. His arms didn't move, nothing. He just went right straight back, getting farther and farther out of sight. Kevin saw something dark as I'm screaming to him. Well, now I'm like in a panic because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we're out here with our dog who is starting to bark. Yeah. And now I'm thinking, oh my God, Kevin, give me the dog. And I want to run back in the house because I thought I have never been in the presence of anything quite that big, like a big like that could actually come right at me. And so I thought, I'm running into the house. I'm taking the dog, and off I went. I just ran towards the house, ran into the lanai, threw the dog in the house, closed the door, and stood there screaming for Kevin to get back in the house. Well, Kevin wanted to see if he was going to come forward again. Right. And what we deduced from that was that he knew that those cows were coming to that water, somehow he knew those cows were there, and whatever interaction he was going to have with them was going to happen. But he didn't depend on us being there, and we didn't know he was going to be there. So it was this perfect storm of these 3 different elements, the cows, him, and us. And it was really, it scared me. As a matter of fact, it was very hard to sleep that night because I didn't know if he was that close to us, if he was back in the back. What would he do? Was he going to come back? Yeah. We did go out on the lanai, but because we were kind of out in the country, it was very dark. There's no lights at all. You can't see a single thing out there once the sun sets. It's pitch black. Yeah.
How did the cows react, Teri?
How what?
How did the cows react to the Bigfoot?
Well, that's just it. I ran. And I don't know how they reacted. Right. I knew, get out of there. If this thing decides to sprint towards us, it would have to go around that sinkhole area that was now a pond. But I was thinking to myself, if it went back that fast, it could come forward that fast as well. And that did scare me. Not much scares me, but when you see something the size of a grizzly bear, that's not funny. It's just something where you have to wrap your mind around, what the heck is that? Yeah. What's it capable of at this point? And why is it here? So that was very interesting.
So do you think there's just the one, or do you think there's 2 or more?
in that particular area, and this is a fact, anybody
Yeah.
could look it up, it's, common knowledge. There had been sightings for about 8 years of more than one. I saw one major, huge, and I don't know if there were others. My husband had been out in the Green Swamp in another area even farther north of us, which had much more wooded land, and he had actually gotten a foot that was over 16 feet long.
Wow.
16 inches, or
Inches.
would it be feet?
Yeah.
Inches.
Yeah, inches.
Inches.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. What?
Yeah.
So
It's big.
yeah, and he has that here. As a matter of fact, we have it down in the cellar, and
Right.
so they are out there. Even though a lot of people say, "Oh, those aren't real," blah blah blah. Yeah, they are, as a matter of fact, and lots of people have caught these different footprints that they've made into these models. So it's
because if it wasn't real, it wouldn't really be able to leave a footprint deep enough for you to cast, would it?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite elusive. It's an elusive creature. It's very much like an extraterrestrial. We don't have, a ton of dead ones lying around, and there's not a lot of scat in the area. And and so, they're hard to identify. I believe that they may be interdimensional and extraterrestrial hybrids of some sort. Something that connected with an ape type. And here's what's interesting about them is they're all over the world, known in different places with different names, like the Yeti, the Sasquatch, the Bigfoot. They all have different parts of the world has reported them. China, even Germany, and some even like them onto skinwalkers. Some people think that they're very much like a skinwalker. The Indians have all these different names, Wolfman. So these legends that are passed down through history, there's a reason that these things come down to us. It's because they've been seen, they've been talked about, ancestors have made mention. So I just think it's very interesting. Very interesting.
Well, we've got a question, and it's from 3 different people. So it's from me, Warren, and Rick. For some reason, we've all pretty much felt the same thing. So I'll put the questions up on the screen. I was going to ask you, what do you think Bigfoot is, or what do you think Sasquatch is? So the question that Rick is asking is, does Teri believe the Sasquatch are the Nephilim? And Warren is asking, what does Teri believe that Bigfoot actually are? So
okay. I don't believe that they're the Nephilim. Okay. I know that the Nephilim are very different, and I've had many different experiences with different creatures. I've had such a unique and different life, but it's always led me in these strange areas. And so I don't believe they're any related to the Nephilim at all. I do believe that they're extraterrestrial hybrids. I do believe that they can be interdimensional. I do believe that they're coming from another place. They don't live here. Some people have mentioned to me that I should consider that they live within the earth, inner earth. And I wouldn't say that that's an impossibility. I don't know that for a fact. And I really, I've said this many times, I only share what I actually really believe, or what I actually can put together with my personal experiences on what I've experienced. And because it was just there, I do believe that they are here. I do believe that they're here for a very specific purpose. I don't know if they were there to eat the cows.
Yeah.
I don't know. Thank God they didn't eat us. They didn't come to our home. We didn't have any issues that night, although I was very frightened.
Yeah.
And we have bobcats in that area and all kinds of other things in the Green Swamp. We have alligators out there. We have all manner of snakes, cottonmouths, rattlers, everything you can think of in that Green Swamp with that hot area, and it didn't seem to come again. So for whatever reason, though, it allowed me to see it, because I believe that they don't have to allow you to see them. Any type of hybrid seems to have a special set of talents where they're more in charge of revealing to us. And they did allow me to see him. I mean, he allowed me to see him. But I hope that answered those questions.
By the sound of the size of it, it could have actually taken one of your cows.
Oh, without issue at all. This guy was massive. He was massive. And I mean big, no kidding. And the height that he was from that tree, you know, I'm on the other side of this pond looking, and he's so tall. He's got to be 12 foot, 10 to 12 foot at least.
Yeah.
And massive. This thing could have ripped those cows apart.
No.
And those were really, really big cows. They were older cows. You know, the one had the big bell on it, and you could hear them walking.
Yeah.
You could hear them crushing all the, you know, the leaves and different things, you know, that were on the floor of the green swamp as it was coming. These things are heavy. They're big, but no issue for something that size.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's why I ran. It was amazing. And everything in me said, get away, just get away. And Kevin was being so brave, and I was so angry because he wouldn't come running. He wanted to wait to see if he could see it come forward again. And that scared me. You know, I'm like, oh my God, that thing would take you down in a nanosecond, Kevin.
Oh yeah. Wouldn't even think about it.
Yeah, I know.
Ooh, yes. Nice one. Right. So we've got some questions from last time as well that
okay.
we didn't get around
You
to.
got them, Deb?
I've got them. I think we're going back to ETs now.
Okay.
Because Rick asks, why would they help us to evolve? Who gives them the authority to interfere with our planet?
Okay. Personally, I don't think that they do interfere with us that way. And who gives them the authority to evolve? Everything evolves. Everything.
Who gives them the authority to interfere with our planet? And then it's saying, why would they help us to evolve?
Oh, why would they help us to evolve? Yeah, I don't know that they are. I think that they're here. They're like watchers more than anything. They're here being a part of it all. You know, that's all that I know about that, really, you know.
No problem. Rick's asking as well, does the Christian rapture include UFOs as the chariots of God?
Well, that's a very good question. A lot of Christians do say that there are scriptures that would allude to that, you know, the wheels within Ezekiel are talking about crafts. And I'm not sure that that is accurate 100%. I think that what was seen and what was noted could very well have been extraterrestrial crafts, or could have been angelic things that were out there at a specific time. And they very well could be in some type of relationship with our creator, because after all, I do believe he created everything. So they're here. You know, they've been here before we were. They actually have been here before us. So for those things to be up there would be more accepted than even us being here in a sense. So wheels within wheels, crafts, it talks about chariots of fire, and people talk about the chariots of fire. Well, could that have been like a ball of, you know, those orbs, those big, huge orbs that accompany? And I've seen that with my own two eyes. I have seen a huge orb fireball come out from underneath a craft that I saw in 1979. So those things are out there, and they're very real. Was it angelic? Was it something from previous? I don't know. Was it extraterrestrial? Yes. 100% yes. But God's in charge of all of that. So how does it all fit in? How does that whole thing fit into that?
Into that box.
Yeah.
Ancient Ruby, she's not in tonight yet, I don't think.
Oh, there's still time.
Ancient Ruby saying, Terry, how have you come to a conclusion that everything you experience is true?
Because I was wide awake. It was happening. I had to deal with it. Nothing is happening while I'm like in a place where I'm not wide awake and looking at it. And let me just say, how powerful that is. Okay. It's so life-changing. Every single thing that happens is so life-changing. It's so hard to say, like just what happened this last week coming home from Camden when my husband was out playing at a local Christmas party. And I came home alone. You know, all these things that happened to me. And sometimes I'm alone. Sometimes I've been with my son. I've been with my husband. I've been with people when other things happen. And you cannot deny that. People can't deny what they are seeing and what they're experiencing. And they're so profound, these happenings, that it makes a difference in who you are and what you come to believe. And it keeps opening doors for me. And I keep thinking, I don't want to open doors, but it comes to me and then the doors open and I'm like, stay away. Just leave me. Let my life be my life. Let me just live a nice, peaceful, quiet. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
It's too easy, that.
Yeah, because
it just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen that way.
Do you get much activity when you're on your own?
I do. I would have to say throughout my life, if I look back, I'm on my own. I'm a deep thinker. I'm a very serious-minded person. You know, growing up, people would say, hey, lighten up. Why don't you smile? And I'd be like, yeah, what's there to smile about? Half the time.
Yeah.
It's like, things are so
now.
You know, what's there to be so happy-go-lucky about? But I was a very serious child, and I always heard the voice of God. I think we talked about that. You know, I was somebody who was actually hearing an audible voice speaking to me. I don't remember what we talked about back then, but at 4 years old, I had a conversation with the Lord and told him I was ready to come home because I had already experienced everything.
Yeah.
Right. And that was very real. Okay. Very real. And I realized that my brothers and sisters weren't coming from the same place as me. And somehow or other, it was okay. I didn't question that. I just knew that, hey, I've got this relationship with this voice and he is here and he doesn't talk chatter. He only speaks very specific, you know, that's it. It's all very specific stuff. But, you know,
right. I've just sent you what's he doing now?
Oh, I'm having a fight with my jumper.
I thought you were having a fight with a chair.
Oh, I've just pulled a muscle in my arm. I'll go any later.
I've sent you the questions through, Andy, in case you want to ask one.
Oh, right.
Instead of just being me.
Yeah, sorry, my phone's on silent, so give me a moment.
No worries.
All right, you can have a moment.
Just one though.
Right. So this is pretty much all from Rick. Again.
Yes.
Right, we're gonna have to do something about this.
Yeah, he's gonna have to change his name.
Right, so the last one was about the rapture, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, so this one's from Rick again. This is from the last time you was on. Do you think that the aliens will invade?
Will invade us here?
Yeah.
I do think that the aliens will make themselves known. I don't know about invading. They will make themselves known at some given point, and I do believe that is coming soon. I don't think that that's like 50 years off. I do think that.
Sorry, I was just going to say, do you think that that's the 2025 that keeps getting noted and everyone's talking about?
Well, they say 2025, 2028. You know, a lot of people are making predictions. I'm not a predictor. I'm just saying that I can feel that we are going through some changing, some shifting. There are things happening. People are waking up like never before. And they really are. I mean, really up, not just to all of this, but they're also waking up spiritually, which is what, you know, my big thing is like, thank God people are finally waking up and seeing a bigger picture. You know, we've lived with so much lies and denials from governments and, you know, all the courts and magistrates and people have lied to us. We don't believe lies anymore. We've all evolved beyond that. We're grown-ups now and we know how to ask our questions and draw things out. And, you know, we're not being led astray or just by our noses like this, we're all now questioning, and they can't turn that around. They can't turn that around. So, yeah. So yes, the extraterrestrials will definitely make themselves known, and they have been. Our government lied, and the extraterrestrials were well aware of it, and they started showing up one-on-one. Well, one-on-one times 1 zillion or 1 trillion over the ages ends up being disclosure, okay? Because then each person is well aware that whatever the governments are saying or whatever the magistrates are saying, this is what's actually happening, and I'm living through it. So MUFON has thousands, hundreds of thousands of reports of people having experiences. This is disclosure.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So this drip feeding that we keep getting told that the government's doing, do you think then that it's not the government that are drip feeding us, it's the actual ETs that are doing it? That they're coming in, I suppose, dribs and drabs rather than all at once, because that would look like an invasion. So if they're doing a little bit at a time here and there, scattered about around the globe, then eventually when they do start, as and when they do start making themselves more known to everybody, do you think that's part of their plan?
I don't think that they get involved with us the way we would like for them to be involved with us. They are more the watcher than the participator. And so the drips and the drabs, I do believe, are coming from military. I believe that they are revealing themselves to people. And I don't know what experiences you've had, but once you've had an experience with an extraterrestrial off-world being, you're never the same. You now know something that it doesn't matter who disagrees with you, who doesn't believe it. It couldn't matter less. You know what you've experienced. And so you're well aware of facts,
Oh, definitely.
So, I think that our governments would like to minimize what's happening, but they no longer can. It's out of their control at this point.
That's what I was going to say. Do you think they've lost all control of what's going on now?
I do, personally. Yeah. They don't control what happens to me. They might like to, but they don't. Or you, really.
Control, they say it's supposed to controlling the masses, but when the masses start waking up, then they're losing control.
Exactly.
So,
And somebody said to me the other day, we experiencers know more than our government actually knows.
Yeah.
Because if it isn't happening personally to them, and it's like any other thing in life that could happen. If you've never been married, if you've never had children, then you can't identify with those things. You don't know what that looks like. But once you've been married, well, okay, now you know what marriage is about. Once you've had kids, hey, you know what life is about, and so once you've had an extraterrestrial relationship of any kind, any type of experience, nothing is taking that away from you.
No. And I think that's why I'm now a bit, I suppose, not blasé, but very, when I have stuff happen to me now, I don't get excited as what I used to, like 20 years ago. It's more, this is normal now. It's, I won't say it's regular, but the same with you, Deb, isn't it? You get used to what's going on.
Yeah, you take it on board rather than like, I do puzzle over it, but...
Yeah, the paranormal has become the normal.
Yes.
And normal has become a bit, well, I'm not interested in that anymore.
Yeah.
That's how I see it, though.
I'm interested in normal. Where is it?
But it just seems to be going that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is accepted now. Whereas back in our grandparents' generation, this was not accepted. You did not talk about these things. No. It didn't mean that those things weren't happening. It meant you don't talk about them. You don't bring this stuff up. Yeah. And of course, back in those days, you didn't talk about your personal things. Today on the World Wide Web, good grief.
Everything.
Everything.
Dirty laundry everywhere, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because just going back quickly to what you were saying about your grandparents not saying anything. The only thing that my grandma ever spoke about was one of her mates. She lived probably within a mile of where she lived. The house that they lived in, every single night, even when she was there, when other people had gone round, they were hearing footsteps upstairs because the first floor hadn't been carpeted. There's no carpet on the stair, and they could hear someone in shoes walking about. And this is, I'd say, mid to late 70s. And they could constantly hear somebody walking about and banging on the walls and everything. And that was the only thing that my gran would ever talk about to do with paranormal.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I don't remember if I told you about moving into this house. This house was a destination point. We found it on Zillow, and then we moved here because it was just so interesting. And the first night that I was here in the house, my husband had to fly back to Florida. So I have the whole upstairs, and this is about 5,000 square feet. And so my son is downstairs, and we have the upstairs. And
you're in Tennessee now, aren't you?
We're in Paris, Tennessee, right? Yeah. And I've never had a house ever before that had all these fireplaces. Like I'm in a guest bedroom now here.
Yeah.
And we've got 10 fireplaces. So when we first moved in, it was about 17 degrees. Okay, that's cold for me, Florida girl, frozen. Right. And so, we lit the downstairs kitchen fireplace to kind of just keep a lull of warmth in the house, through the night. Well, in the middle of the night, I'm sound asleep, and there is a yanking on my leg. I mean, I felt two strong hands pulling on my leg like this, trying to wake me up. And I thought, oh my God, it's my son. And I woke up and I thought, oh my God, Jason, is there a fire? Is there a fire? Because, we're in a wooden house. That means a lot. And 10 fireplaces, one's lit. And I'm thinking, oh my God, the house is burning. And so I rolled over to say, oh my God, Jason. And there was not one soul there. And I had gotten up and walked through the house, went downstairs, and saw that his bedroom door was closed. Right. Yeah. The fireplace wasn't even on. And I go back upstairs and I'm like, what the heck was that? Somebody here, whatever this is in this house, this entity here, wanted to get my attention, wanted to wake me up, let me know they were here. They were present in the room with me.
Yeah.
And I've never had such a strong yank on my human body from something otherworldly. And it was really kind of overwhelming. I wasn't afraid because I was trying to figure it out. And I was like, what is that? Why would you do that? And then I just, rebuked it and said, you may not touch me again, ever again. Do never lay hands on me again. And it never has. It never has laid hands on me again.
Right.
And we've been here now almost 3 years.
Yeah.
But these things are in this life with us. We are not alone here, not on any level, not just extraterrestrial, but we're not alone on a spiritual level, on a demonic level, angelic, cryptoid, you name it. There are things here with us that interact with us, and it's just overwhelming sometimes what can happen. Yeah. So if your grand heard steps, she heard steps,
Yeah, everyone in the house heard it.
Yes.
Everybody. Visitors, the people that lived there, your gran. And it was like back in the 70s. But the town that I'm from, there's probably about 20,000 people living there. I'm from Manchester originally, so it is a big city, but this town was like on the outskirts. Well, saying on the outskirts, it was about 4 to 6 miles from the centre. But everyone knew everyone, so it was like it wasn't like she was only telling a couple of people. If she told one person before she'd finished telling that sentence to someone, 10 more people would know. It's one of them types of places,
right?
So it wouldn't be like, it's not the sort of thing that they'd make up because everyone would know about it before you finish telling that one person.
Did she ever figure out who it was that was in the house?
I don't think so, because I was only about 6 or 7.
Okay.
So she never told me.
Mm-hmm.
But then I don't know.
Can you still get to that house?
Possibly.
Ooh.
But I don't live in that part of the UK anymore.
Oh, I see.
I know where it is. We're going up next week, but yeah, I might try and see if you can find it and see what's going on there.
Yeah, you should call and ask the people who are currently living there if they're experiencing anything similar to that.
Yeah.
Because usually, if it's not a cyclic pattern of some sort, whatever was there could still be there. You know,
Yeah.
You never know.
No, you don't.
Well, no.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I've got one quick question. I've asked it a couple of the other guests before. What do you think happened? So when you have a spirit or an entity that's residence in a certain property, what do you think happens to that then if that building gets demolished?
I do believe that they move on or stay on the land. And a lot of things I have been told are related to the land. And it doesn't matter what you build. You could build a public facility or a home or a garage, and whatever you would build, because it's a part of the land, it would inhabit whatever was there. And so I had another experience. Well, actually, Nikki and Jason did downstairs. Yeah. I don't know if we talked about this. It was very much like a skinwalker that was in the house. And we didn't know this at the time, but this property used to be owned by the Indians. And this is where many different tribes came for their ritualistic coming together. And it was a very positive thing here. There was a spring located right on this property. And it was a very sacred space for the Indians. Now, who knew that, you know? But this particular house was built in 1852. So it's been here for a very long time. The Civil War has happened, all these different things. This home has had dignitaries from presidents, governors, senators from the 1800s here, and House of Representatives and all of that. And so it has so much history, but even before that history, it had the Indians. Yeah. This was a sanctioned place for all the tribes to come and meet together. And so something downstairs, about the first 6 months we were here, Nikki and Jason have the large parlor as you walk into the house that's on the left side. Yeah. And this is now their bed.
Come.
And
Go in.
Come. What? I did this last time, same time as well.
Yeah, no. Surely obviously gets 40 minutes.
40 minutes into it.
Yeah. It's only allowed 40 minutes, obviously.
Do you want a 50p meal?
Oh, back. We can eat. Well, right, you're back. You're back.
Are you back? Okay. Talking about the skinwalker is something that sometimes can cause some issues. But anyway, so downstairs, they're in bed. The TV is off. They're getting ready to go to bed. And Nikki notices this very, very dark shadow in the upper left-hand portion of the ceiling. Yeah. And she points it out to Jason, and he goes, "Oh my goodness, what the heck?" And it goes right in front of the TV and turns the TV on.
Ooh.
And they're like, "Whoa," just like that.
Yeah.
And now it's going this way, and they can see it very clearly because the light from the TV is now emanating this shadow.
Yeah.
And it goes down into the next room, which is where their baby is. Ooh. And there's these French doors that open onto our back porch. There's a wraparound porch here. Oh, and so now it's outside, and it's on the outside porch. And it has to jump down to get to the ground because we're an elevated home. Right. Yeah. And we have the stairs coming up into the house. So it jumped down. Jason was freaking out. He had eyes on it. And he could see this. it was still a black mass, but it was taking a shape. And as it went out, he said about 60 feet is what he had assumed, and it stopped. And that's when it took form. And it took this unbelievable, strange form with some kind of diadem thing sticking straight up out of its head.
Wow.
And it was very twiggish looking.
Right.
And he thought, my God, what the heck is that? You know, and he was scared. He was as white as a sheet. She was freaking out. They were both looking at this thing going, oh my God. And then it turned to the left now, and it disappeared.
Yeah.
The next day, they came running up to me to tell me all about this. And we called a friend of ours, and she said she's a remote viewer. She remote viewed the whole thing. Now, without knowing how far out this thing went and where it went, she told it exactly where it went. She goes, go out 60 feet exactly. That's where it stood up. He went out 60 feet exactly. He said, Mom, that's where it stood up. Yeah. And he said, oh my God. And then it went to the left. When we went out there on the side of the building, there's an old building on this property, which was known as a slave house way back in the 1800s. And we have a barn out back and this little house, which was also like a kitchen where they would do the cooking for the owners of the manor here.
Yeah.
And on the side of that building, it's all painted white. The garden, I don't know what it's called. It's some kind of a vine, grew up, and you can actually see this being on the side of the building in the vines.
Wow.
In the vines on the side of that house out there. It's still out there. We're not taking it down. We haven't pulled it down. As a matter of fact, I left it there. I took a picture of it. And this gal that we had reached out to, who was a remote viewer, said that is someone who is buried on this property. And if you dig 6 feet down from there, you will find a grave.
Yeah, I remember you saying last time.
Yeah.
And it has to do with the Indians who were at one point here on this property.
Yeah.
Very strange. Very strange.
Yeah.
Lots of weird stuff out there.
The thing is with that, even if you wanted to dig and have a look, it's not the sort of thing you should be doing.
No.
Native Americans.
No. Yeah, we leave all that alone. Yeah. To me, that's sacred. That's none of our business. That
once you do that, you're upsetting the land, then, aren't you?
Right. I would never dig it up.
Never. I think you'd have Amateurville or something going on.
Yeah. You disturb something, I think.
Yeah.
Exactly. You don't want to do that.
It must be frustrating, though, because obviously, I presume you want to know what's going on.
I want to know why it was in my house. Yeah. That's really all I care about. Why did it break its barrier and come into the house? So we bound it and we put a hedge of protection around the house. We put a barrier around the house and said, you are not allowed to come in here. What you do out there is your business. You are not allowed to come in here.
Yeah.
We've restricted it. We have not had any issue again. Yeah. Now, something that happened last night, I want to share, not last night, this week. I was coming home. I think it was on the 19th. Today's the 21st. Yeah. From Camden, which is a little city right outside of Paris. And we had been at a marina at a Christmas party, and my husband was there and he was playing in the band. I wanted to come home. I had a lot of things to do. And so I came home. And as I'm coming into the city, there's a part of the city that's kind of old, real old. And some of the buildings are decrepit. They have the windows are knocked out and everything. And there's just a little run in that area of on Chickasaw here. And as I was coming up the road, and this is a very first time experience for me, which is why I'm sharing it, because it's just a few days ago.
Yeah.
In the road, I was seeing these tall tumbleweeds, and we don't have tumbleweeds in Paris. Okay. Paris is in Tennessee. Tumbleweeds are out in the West.
Yeah.
We don't have tumbleweeds. Do you know what a tumbleweed is?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and they usually are round and they blow around on the prairie, that kind of thing. Well, these were tall. They stood so tall, taller than my car. And when I'm looking at them in the road, I saw one and I passed one. And I thought, wait a minute. That was a tumbleweed in Paris? And I thought, there's no way that was a tumbleweed. How could it have been a tumbleweed? We don't have those. And then I passed a second one. And now I'm coming and I see the third one and it's to the right of my right tire. And I'm looking at it and I thought, what is that? That is not a tumbleweed. We can't possibly have that there.
Mm-hmm.
It was elevated off of the street somewhat and my car went right through it like,
yeah.
And I was like, are you kidding me? And because I was in such a strange area on the street there with all those decrepit buildings, there was no way I was pulling over and getting out of my car to investigate by myself with all these broken windows and in this, factory over here and this place over here closed down. I thought, that's not safe. That's not smart. If I was with somebody, I would have stopped immediately. Yeah. But because I was alone, I thought, no, there's no way I'm getting out of the car. Plus, it's also about, 20 degrees out. And so, I thought, okay, I'm going to let that go. But nevertheless, I'm sitting here even now wondering, what was it? That was a completely new experience. We don't have tumbleweeds. I went through something that was on that street. There were two I passed and one I went right straight through. And when I went through it, it just was like it was almost vaporized, like a vapor.
Yeah.
Right through it. So I don't know if you have anything like that. I'm going to be listening up for people to talk about that now because
Deborah,
yes,
you had an experience with a tumbleweed.
I did.
In Yorkshire.
On a country lane in Yorkshire.
Was it a true tumbleweed or was it like mine?
No, it was the round. It came up over the hedge, and at first, because I'd seen it out the corner of my eye, I thought it was these foil balloons for birthdays.
Sure.
I thought it was that, and then when I actually looked at it, it was a ball of tumbleweed. And I thought, we don't get tumbleweed in York. We don't get tumbleweed.
We don't get them in the UK, let alone Yorkshire.
Not at all. And it came up, and it came right in front of the car, and it turned. And as it turned, it ended up being like a flat donut of woven sticks with a hole in the middle.
Oh my goodness!
And I was looking at this thing, and it went across. It was like it was being guided, but there was nothing attached to it. There was no wind.
How big was it?
The size of
the day or the night?
It was during the day. It was lunchtime.
Oh, for heaven's sakes!
It was the size of the life buoys that they have at the side of deep water.
About 2 foot diameter.
Yeah, about 2 foot. And there was a bank of trees on the left. And it got to within about 2 inches of the trees, and it travelled up the front of the trees and then went over the top and disappeared. But that started out as a ball of tumbleweed. Very strange.
I don't know what to say about that. See, but I experienced it, but I have no clue what I experienced for sure. Exactly. Mine seemed more spiritual, like it wasn't really a tumbleweed.
Yeah. No.
So do you think this was something putting a screen up? Is it a mask or whatever you call them?
Yeah, it's very possible. It's very possible that it was something else disguising itself.
Well, then why choose tumbleweed?
Had you been watching a Western?
I'm definitely going to be looking into this and asking questions and seeing if anybody else has experienced anything like that here locally, but trust me, we don't get those here.
No.
But as soon as you said tumbleweed, straight away I thought Debs has had an encounter with one.
Yeah.
And we don't get anything like that in the UK.
No, we don't.
Bit of broken twigs and dirt. Yeah. That's about it.
Yeah, weeds.
But nothing.
Nothing. No, we don't get tumbleweed farming because we don't have the because obviously it's got to be the wind and everything that picks it up and knots it all together,
Right,
isn't it?
it moves it,
You
right?
get a lot of it in the desert.
Yeah, exactly. You
So-
get that in certain
Yeah.
places.
Definitely no desert in the UK. You see
Definitely.
like little bits of it, like on beaches and that, where the sand dunes are.
Right.
There's
Mhm.
place just outside Liverpool called Ainsdale Beach, and there are a few like little ones there, but not. And I'm talking like tennis ball size. I
Yeah.
don't
Oh,
know
yeah,
if
no,
there's
mine
any anywhere
was
else.
huge. This thing was huge. You know, it was as
Yeah.
high, if not higher, than the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other two that I saw before the third one, which I actually hit, and I went right through it like a ghost weed,
Yeah.
like a
Did it
ghost
make any
weed.
sound?
Yeah.
Did it make
So-
any sound when you went through it?
No, not at
Nothing.
all. And I looked in my rearview mirror and I saw nothing. And I thought, okay, I didn't have a drink. I was as sober as the judge. You
Yeah.
know, I don't know what happened, but I had seen two before it on that street. And I thought, what the heck was that? You know, because, you know, you're going about 35, 40 miles an hour and,
Yeah.
you know, it's dark, it's cold. You're trying to get home.
Yeah, that's it. You
No.
just want to get home, don't you? You're
I
not
wasn't
looking at
looking
what's
for
going on.
anything. I'm never
Yeah.
looking for anything.
No. It always seems to find us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
More so
That's
when you're
so
not
bizarre.
looking.
Yeah.
I want to hear more. If anybody else out there has had anything like that, please share it. Share
Oh, yeah,
with me.
definitely. Yeah. I'd be interested.
Rick's just put this on, I'm presuming it's to do with what, like the tumbleweeds that you've been talking about.
Mhm.
He said, doesn't it really look like a portal?
Doesn't it what?
Really
Really
look like a portal.
like a portal, like a Stargate.
Like a Stargate? I wouldn't identify it as that.
No.
That's not the first thing that comes to my mind.
No.
The first thing that comes to my mind is something spiritual that might have cloaked itself or hidden itself or
Yeah.
something
With
spiritual.
there being three of them as well. So were they identical? Do you know? Or were they very similar or completely different from each other?
The other three?
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw
the other
three.
two.
The first two looked exactly like it. And
Yeah.
tumbleweeds do this, but
Yeah.
this was more like this.
Ah, right.
It's like in about this size and going up. And the reason I said tumbleweeds is because it seemed to move. And I thought, well, tumbleweeds roll, you know, so it really wasn't tumbleweeds, but I couldn't, you know, when
It's
you're
the only
looking,
thing that you could get the nearest thing to it.
yeah, your mind is looking to file it, to finish
To find something.
Categorize it.
identify it. And when you can't, you just go with, okay, what am I looking at here? You know,
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm looking at,
Yeah.
you know.
No. Well, Rick's just put on there. He meant the whirling motion.
Yeah, but there wasn't whirling motion. There was no whirling motion. It was just
'cause you said
doing this motion.
Yeah.
So
like floating, I suppose.
flowing, like floating. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very strange.
Very creeped out right now.
Yeah.
Don't be creeped out.
No,
We're in charge in the land of the living. Don't ever forget that.
that's all right then.
I'm glad mine wasn't in the dark. I wasn't quite as creeped out with it being daylight. Actually, a really lovely sunny day. Actually. But,
Yeah, lucky you.
yeah.
It's
Sorry
an
about
evening, freezing cold, you know, dark, in a nasty area.
Yeah. Creepy in a bad area.
Yeah, yeah.
My
That's
luck.
just what you want.
Yeah, I've had that before as well. So
Right. So we'll do one more question.
Yes.
And this is from the last lot of questions when you was on before.
Okay.
So this lot, I'll do the last one, Deb, the one from Lawson.
yeah.
So a bit off topic, but question's a question. Do you believe in time travelers?
Yes, I do. I do believe that time is something limited to the planet Earth, that we're in a time bubble.
Yes.
But omnipotence is in other places where they're not held into time the way that we are. So I do believe that those different species and off-world extraterrestrial types can and do live within an out of time sequence. Time is restricted here to us.
Yeah.
From cradle to grave. There's your timeline.
Yeah.
You know, and so we're the ones in the land of the living who are living within the cradle to the grave existence. They are not. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, we might have time for another one.
Yes, I think we might.
Do you want to do it?
Have we done with the questions from the?
Yeah. That was we've covered all them now.
Right, lovely. Things are going really slow tonight. I don't know what's going on. Right.
I'm slowing down.
Yeah, I know. Rick wants to know, does Teri think that the increase in Bigfoot is related to the end times?
To the end times. I guess I don't really see the correlation between that and end times, since Bigfoot has been around in folklore and passed down from generation to generation for so many generations.
Yeah.
I don't know that I see it more now because of all of that. I think because we have the World Wide Web, we have more availability to share stories and what is going on. It has the knowledge has increased. And, you know, in the last days, it says in the scriptures, in the last days, knowledge will increase.
Yeah.
And so I think we're seeing that. So that would be my thought there, you know, that it's not just because of the end times. It's just because that knowledge is increasing now and we're more aware of what is happening. And there's so many of us that are awake.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
There's just more chance to get evidence and what have you these days as well, isn't there? It's like
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the thing,
got a phone in their hand.
When you see stuff, is your first thought get your phone out and take a picture?
No.
Or is it? It's not, is it?
No.
It's not until afterwards.
You know, your phone isn't always in your hand when these things are happening. Like I was driving with the tumbleweeds and I couldn't have done that.
No.
Many of my experiences were before cell phones even existed.
Yeah.
And now if I have the phone, I do grab it. One day right after we moved here, I was out on the front porch. That front porch to me is a major blessing. I love the front porch.
Yeah, I'd love that.
I love sitting out there in the sunshine. And one day I walked out there with my coffee to do just that. And my son and I were on the front porch, and this silver globe was right up in the sky in the center of our view. Yeah. And I had my cell phone on me, so I grabbed it and I got a picture of that. And I tell you, if I can get a picture of something, I do get a picture of something. Yeah. With my other son in Florida, when we were seeing those three lights that morphed into the triangle, I couldn't get my phone out of my purse fast enough to hand it to my son, who, remember, was sitting on the window, sitting outside of the window, which scared Jesus out of me. I was afraid he was going to fall. Yeah. And, you know, I couldn't get it to him fast enough. I was trying to get it to him. So when these things happen, if it's convenient to do it, yes, absolutely. And I have gotten pictures of things. Yeah. After about the second year we were here, we were seeing spider webs, but they weren't spider webs. We don't really know what they were, floating in the sky, millions of them. Ooh. And we got our phones out to take pictures of them. And they were like these long, stringy, they were so bizarre. We really didn't know what they were. Some people said they thought that they were spider webs.
I've heard of that happening in New Zealand.
Yeah. And so we did catch that, you know, we did get that. We aren't really sure what we got, if it was spider webs or not.
But sorry, just on that note, I do know that when baby spiders leaving the mother's nest, because they give birth to like thousands of them, they make like a little, it's not a parachute as such, but they make like a little streamline. I don't know what you call
Parachute, for want of a better word.
Yeah, basically, it's a spider, and they make this, and it just the air
Gets
picks
picked
it
up by
up,
the
and it
wind.
picks them up, and they all go floating off.
Yeah.
I know they do that, and they
Still a
can be
creepy thought.
there can be thousands of them at any
Yeah.
one point, and you can see them, but they're not
Yeah.
webs. They're not webs as such. It's just like a couple of strands. That the
It
air
is.
picks
It's
up
like a
and it
little
lifts them,
strand.
like a little hang glider.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
Creepy little hang gliders.
But obviously, they're not hang gliders.
No.
It's just like a couple of strands of the silk.
The
I don't know.
material, the silk.
Don't know what the
Yeah,
material
exactly.
is. The
Mhm.
web,
Yeah,
the
it's silk.
webbing.
Silk.
Mhm.
I suppose it is silk, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Spider
Yeah.
silk. They're starting to use that for wound healing now.
Yes.
Yeah, I
We
heard
had
that.
never seen that before, and we had no clue what we were looking at. You know, I
Oh,
had
no.
Yeah.
never seen that.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
But it was also quite frightening to think that there are spiders in the air, probably crawling all over all of us, you know.
Yeah.
And it was pretty freaky.
I don't
But
want to think of that.
I know. Yeah. So we kind of debunked that, thinking, okay, that must be what that was.
Yeah.
Some people were calling it angel hair, and I thought, well, no, angels don't lose their hair. So you know,
Not in that quantity.
No.
yeah, exactly. So we weren't sure what we were looking at, but I do think that that was probably debunked, that
Yeah.
it was, you know, something like that. But trust me, it was really beautiful.
Yeah,
And
I
it
can
showed up on the phone. It did
Yeah.
show up as
Wow.
lit streams going through the sky. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Mhm. But yeah, so we do try to use, and of course, being a MUFON certified field investigator, we're taught always, you know, get that phone, you
Yeah.
know, get some recording, you know, make sure that you hold it real still, you know.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
usually will put it on a car or a fence or something to stabilize it.
Yeah, steady it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
Right,
Right.
break time then.
Yeah, we're going to hit a break. So you've got 5 minutes to do what you need to do. Online shopping, dog
Yeah.
sitting,
Yeah.
knitting. I don't
Let the
know.
dog out the back door.
Use the bathroom. Have a 4.5 minute nap. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Little power nap.
Right. And we'll see you then. So
Okay. See you
bye
soon.
for now.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And at the moment, it's just us two.
Oh,
I
she's
could put
nipped off.
Terry on, but
She's
the
gone for a
invisible
longer
woman,
nap.
the invisible woman's not there at the moment.
No, we'll put her back on when she pops back into a
As soon as she
chair.
comes back, we'll go on.
I
So we might as well.
actually remember
quickly.
to unmute myself.
I know I did. I was keeping my eye on it. I was waiting.
Yeah.
But see how many sentences she can do before
she realizes.
Yeah. Right, quickly, Deb.
Hello.
Plug your YouTube channel.
Well, I'm not back on now on the 8th of January, but it's Sundays at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Just click on my name to go and subscribe, please. Thank you.
Yep, and mine first one is probably going to be a week yesterday, mid-afternoon. Not sure yet, but you'll get a notification. And it's at Andy Booth 73, and that's it. It's called Flying Solo. So yeah, please like, and we'll get some content on there. Right, she's back now, so let's go.
Hey,
hello.
Hi. I'm back.
And we're back. Right, let me swap us around a bit. Musical chairs.
Yeah, I like a bit of
musical studios.
Yeah.
Right.
So, what do we want to talk about now?
Oh, what don't they want to talk about?
Well, we have some more questions.
Oh, good. I love
so. Next one is from Stockholm Pills and Views, and they would like to know: does Terry think the Bigfoot all speak the same language, however basic?
You know, I do. I never really thought about it, but I do think that because there's some form of a hybrid, that they are all related.
Yeah.
And they would most definitely, like dogs all speak a language, horses all speak a language.
Yeah.
So because of that logical thinking, I would think that they would just, I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how interesting. Do Chinese frogs speak Chinese frog? Do Chinese cats speak Chinese cats, whereas American cats speak American cat?
Well, I did hear something.
I don't think
dog's back. I can't remember if it was the UK or the US, but a dog's back had an accent depending on which part of the country it was in.
Wow.
I don't know how true that is. Apparently, this was a few years ago, but it was on some documentary.
Oh, really?
But it does have a different accent. Apparently, pigeons do as well.
Like a regional variation.
Yeah, so it's like a local dialect.
Yeah.
Huh. Like something, yeah. And like the wolves all howl, not all dogs howl like that,
No.
But I mean, they can be brought to a place where they do. So that's quite interesting, but I would tend to say yes, that like unto like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Next question's from Rick again. Like the rest of them that are coming up. How does Terry define time? Is it 6,000 years, or is the universe billions of years old?
Well, Terry doesn't know that question. Terry doesn't know exactly how old this Earth is. There have been so many different scientists and so many different people that have changed those numbers over the years. Yeah. I do believe that we are in a time frame. I don't know the beginning from the end of it. I know that we are eons, centuries, because of what is written and what comes down to us through all the different dialects and languages throughout our, existence as the human race. So I don't really know, Time, however, I think, which is a stunning fact, is noted by the savior of the earth. BC before Christ or AD after his death. How interesting is that?
Yeah. It is.
Yeah, it is. So, obviously he has something to do with this very big picture.
Yeah. So quick question about the BC and AD.
Mhm.
When was that? Oh no, probably not going to know. But when was that put into place? Was that while he was still alive, or was it after?
Now, if my memory serves me right, it was before, because he was prophesied
Right.
from the beginning. So
Right.
being that he was prophesied, it would have had to have been BC, before Christ.
Yeah.
And they awaited that time frame. And then once he was born, raised, crucified, and then, raised from the dead, that was after death.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I know.
And I've always wondered why it wasn't.
Domini.
And I always wondered why it wasn't AR, after resurrection, instead of after death, AD.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Strange.
There's always a question to something, isn't there?
Always.
Oh, the rabbit hole. It's just called
Yeah,
the giant rabbit hole.
Yeah, definitely.
Just jump in and you'll come out more daft than you ever did before you went in there.
Yeah, definitely.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Right. Next question. Guess who it's from?
Rick.
Our lovely Rick. Oh, Rick.
We like you,
There
Rick.
you go.
Yeah.
So he wants to know, you answered this before, kind of. Has Teri encountered a shadow person? Is it demonic? Can't speak then, sorry. So you were saying about your son and his partner, that they had that shadow person that come into the house that you then removed.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm guessing, have you?
I have had more than one experience with the shadow person over my lifetime. There's been several. Back when I was very young, and then when I was 16, and then as I was in my 20s, and then we've had one here in the house. Personally, I do not think that shadow person is coming from a good place. I think that shadow person is something that is in the demonic realm of beings in existence. It is very dark. It is fear-based. Anything fear-based that brings, the first thing you're doing is, it's like a fear. There's a reason that you react that way. And it's a spirit to spirit, your spirit to that spirit interaction. And it's coming from a fear base. So I don't believe that he is good, that it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Every single person that I've ever talked to, any deliverances that we've ever been a part of in doing that, those people were so traumatized by those dark spirits.
Yeah.
They seem to hang in the middle of the rooms. They seem to be on walls. They seem to move about, go inside and outside.
Yeah.
Come from outside to inside. That is a heavy fear. And so I'm going to say it's from the demonic realm.
Yeah. All the encounters that I've heard, they come from the shadows, and usually closets or where the walls meet or where the door meets. It's always like a join in the building is where they come out of. It's never. It's going to sound stupid, but they don't just walk through a door, or they come from under the bed. They always come from somewhere, I suppose, sinister, and not just like you'd see a full body apparition of a spirit. It could just walk through, whether it was a Roman soldier or a child or whatever. They would just appear here, there, and everywhere. But these shadow people just seem to pop out of
they come from the lines in the walls.
Places.
Lines. Everyone that I can relate to, even back to 16, came like the corners come like this in a room, and so it comes from that corner and then comes out and goes to the next corner or goes up into a corner. And it is very strange how the shadow people are, but they do cross the rooms, but usually against the walls, which is odd. It's almost like they have limitations to where they can go within the room, but it is a fear-based entity, definitely.
Yeah. So do you think the Hat Man is got any connection to these shadow people?
I do. I know several friends, close friends, who grew up with a Hat Man, and it was also coming from a corner, a joint in the room and it would be on the wall. So it has an attachment to almost a brick and mortar kind of a thing. Whereas you had mentioned earlier the full-bodied apparitions, which I've seen several of those in my life, and trust me, you don't want those. Those are very
I've seen a few myself, so
my goodness,
not good.
Very difficult to deal with, very hard to wrap your mind around and function through the whole ordeal. Fear grips you with them. They are definitely fear-based. But they can move within the confines of the brick and mortar home or building or wherever you are. Whereas a shadow person or the hat man is usually limited to a wall. Now, wrap your mind around that for a moment. Why? You'd have to say to yourself, what limits them? Why does it happen that way? But everyone I've talked to has said that pretty much the same thing. That's just how they come,
Yeah.
And
I was just going to put that up there. Rick's just put up that the walls act like a screen to
contrast it.
The walls act like to contrast it. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a split screen, so I'm struggling to read it in one go. I've had to split. I've got two monitors, and there's a gap in the middle, so I'm seeing half and half.
High tech.
So I'm just making it more difficult for myself. But because I know there's been encounters where people have seen the Hat Man like at the top of the stairs or outside the bathroom door, and it's like been stood in the doorway. It's not all. I know you're saying they're always like at the wall, but he kind of like goes back into the wall when it's leaving.
It seems like he comes from the wall. He can extend out the Hat Man, but then he goes back to the wall. And I have had one friend of mine in particular I'm thinking of. She said that he stood at the edge of her bed and then went back towards the wall. And I thought, those are hard things for kids to live through. And a lot of kids do see that, or they see it slip out from an open closet door or something like that, and that's horrifying. That is a horrifying experience to deal with, but it happens. And it happens to many, not just a handful,
I opened the bathroom door and it was stood there, and I apologized, shut the door and thought, what the hell am I doing? And then when I opened it again, it had gone. So, but that was on the door opened onto the landing. So it was just kind of stood there as I opened the door.
Isn't
it? I'd have opened the door, apologized, and then, sorry, I'm moving out now.
Locked yourself in the bathroom.
You have such a sweet spirit.
Get all my stuff and go and live somewhere else.
Yeah.
she's too kind.
I know. I don't know why I apologized. It was the middle of the night.
All right.
Well, because you thought it might have been somebody. That your mind would go to what's normal, not to the abnormal, but to the, you would think, oh, this is normal. Someone's in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Was he having his shower?
No, I was in the bathroom.
Having a wee?
I was coming out of the bathroom, but it was the early hours of the morning. Two of us in the house.
To go in.
Hey?
He was waiting to go in.
Yeah, queuing up.
It is bizarre what can happen to us.
Very, very bizarre. Right, next question. Another one from Rick.
Yeah.
Do Teri's children have any experiences?
Oh, dear. Mm-hmm. Yes. As a matter of fact, so do my grandchildren. And, I started TeriLynge.com because my life was so ridiculously bizarre. I thought, if my children ever have anything happen, and if for some reason I would die or whatever, and I'm not here to answer their questions, I've got to have something that I can explain to my kids, in the land of the living, you've got a lot of really weird things that can happen. So don't freak out. Know that this happened to me and you're going to be okay. You're going to live through it, and I started it for my children. Then my grandchildren were saying, geez, grandma, this happened to me or that happened to me. And I'd be like, oh my God, So then I was like, okay, I have got to commit myself to sitting down and putting every experience that I can bring to remembrance down so that they also understand what can happen here. And 150 some odd experiences later, I thought, wow. And now I've got my great grandchildren who are of the age where they're reading and understanding and asking questions. And, I mean, it's, while we're here, many things can happen. And mostly in past generations, people would say, well, we don't talk about that. Well, how stupid is that? You need to talk about that, because if you're experiencing it, you need to understand why am I experiencing this? And I've had so many different people say, well, you draw the negative to you. No, that's not true. You don't draw the negative to you. These things happen when you don't even have a clue, like her opening the bathroom door. Did she draw that to herself? No, not at all. It just happened. And to blame her and say it was her fault that happened because she was drawing negative to her is misinformation. That is disinformation. That is not a fact. These things attack us. And I have always said we're in a spiritual battle here. This is from, birth to the grave. There is a battle going on. We're spiritual beings on a human journey, and we're going to get attacked by these things which are here with us, if we acknowledge them or not, because I did not acknowledge them. They acknowledged me. They were drawn to me, but I wasn't pulling them. I didn't know to pull them. No. So if you don't know to do something, you're not doing it. It's just happening outside of your control. This is important. People need to be taught the whole truth about these things. Oh,
yeah, definitely.
Now, if you're crazy enough to get a Ouija board out and go seeking after it, well, then, yes, you're opening doors. And don't be afraid then when something comes through you don't want, because you are reaching into portals, interdimensional things that you have no ability to deal with, but you're still opening the door. Now that's a different thing. Those people are pulling those things knowingly, wantingly to themselves.
Well, I'm that close to buying a Ouija board, but not to use it, just have it as like a display.
Oh no.
But I do know that if I do get one, I'll be like, go on then, just one little go. And then that'll be it. So
well, and if you get possessed,
they're not even that expensive. It's like equivalent to $10.
On some Amazon. Of them are not there.
No.
I have used one.
They're the wooden ones as well.
Yeah, I have used one, and I've never had a negative experience, but I got rid of it, and I won't use one again now. It was just a thing at the time when we did a bit of spirit rescue. So there was nothing negative came through because we knew how to protect ourselves, but I still think they're a little bit dangerous.
They are very dangerous. Spirits are real. The Bible is loaded with all different types. There's some that can cause personality changes in you because they literally possess you, and the change will be very slow, but it will be significant. And they will continue. There's all kinds of evil spirits out there. We're taught not to get involved in those things. I understand the pull because they are there. You want to question yourself and say, well, so then who are they and what are they doing? And, maybe I can handle it. So I can see you saying that, but you can't. No. And if you're going to get into it, please get yourself grounded in demonology, know what you're dealing with, know how to rebuke it, know how to separate yourself from it, and literally plead for help. And the only name that's ever going to help you, that's bigger than anything you're going to encounter, would be the Lord himself. I always go right to the source. I don't play around with these secondhand spirits. I'm like, I'm going to God, I'm going to Jesus, I'm going to the Holy Spirit. I'm not playing around with the lesser entities. I want power when something comes against me, yanking my leg, waking me up in the middle of the night. I don't want to sit there with some, grievous spirit hounding me.
No.
And they can.
Oh, yeah.
They have power. And the more fear you play into them, the more power they have.
Yeah, you're
Write
feeding the
that
fear.
down.
Yeah. I was going to say you're feeding them. But I think I just wanted to get one to say I own a Ouija board. I don't think I would ever use it. I probably would be tempted, but
Oh,
I
you
think
would
my
be.
willpower
I know you
is that
would.
strong.
They would draw you. They would draw you. They have power. Don't even for a minute think they don't have power. Okay. These things have been here longer than you. They know the human mindset. They understand you better than you probably think. And they would know how to manipulate you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And remember, they would
Won't
do
take
this
a lot.
while you're all alone. You will be alone and they will come after you. That is not
that's the thing.
funny.
No. So where I'm sat now
Uh-huh.
is like my desk, and I've got all my stuff and everything around me.
Mm-hmm.
This is where I come to do my alone stuff. If that makes sense. So when I'm doing editing or Facebook or any videos that I need to make, I sit at the desk so I can concentrate. I've not got anything else or anyone else around me.
Uh-huh.
But this is where I would, if I had a Ouija board, this is where I would have it. So I don't think I'm going to buy one now.
I don't think you should.
I don't think you should.
No.
But you'll do what you'll do. You know?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And
And
keep our eye on him 24 hours a day.
I have actually watched people buy a Ouija board, play with their Ouija board, and their personalities have changed, and they will not acknowledge that because they are possessed. And you can be oppressed, depressed, and possessed. And I'm not kidding. Those are very real places you can be, and you don't want to be there. Sometimes you can go through an entire season, maybe a 6 or a 12-year period before you can get out of that. So you're committing yourself to these things. And, you know, I would just caution you, please don't do it. But if you do, be aware that these things can.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, like I said, I would be tempted to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So just that, it'd be more curiosity would get.
Well, call me before you do it. I'll talk you out of it.
I'm just going to do it. I'll see you in another.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be one of them, won't it?
Yeah.
Well, there are all kinds of spirit manifestations that could come to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a lot that I'm not going to name that are tricksters, and they come in,
shapeshifters, deceivers, right?
Yeah, they come in, deceiving, pretending to be people like lost, like past family relatives and all that.
That is a huge
subject.
People
once you contact them, it's game over.
No, it is.
Yeah.
A lot of people have said to me, well, my great-grandfather came to me, and I'm like, how did you know it was your great-grandfather? Well, he told me all these things and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and I listen to what they're telling me, and I'm like, how would your grandfather have known that? You know, and I'm like, are you sure that was your grandfather? You know, have you ever actually seen him? Do you actually know what he looks like? You know, your great grandfather? And they're like, well, no, I've never seen a picture of him or anything, but this is what I thought he looked like. And I said, well, you need to find out what he actually looked like. Yeah. How do you know who you were talking to there? They can be very deceptive. And they know how to be, there's a familiar spirit that the Lord talks about in the scriptures. There's all these different levels, just like there are generals and you know, like in a military kind of a setup. Angels are set up that way, and the demons are set up that way.
Like a hierarchy.
Some of them are actually very harassing. Some of them have all different types of lusts and things that they can draw you into. And you will change. I mean, you can change. It can conjure such fear. And some of them are actually so overpowering, you wouldn't be able to stand against them if you didn't have a very strong resolve, serious spiritual sea legs, you know.
Yeah.
Yep. No, totally agree.
Yeah.
Next question is from Rick again.
Moving on quickly. Before Randy goes on Amazon.
Yeah.
Just bought one.
Just getting you off the topic now. What does Terry think the missing 411 phenomena is?
Now, if I'm identifying with that properly, 411 are the missing people, right? People that are missing all over. I think that it's a 50-50 shoot there, that we do have things that are happening that are otherworldly, but we also have wicked people on the planet. I do believe, I mean, I used to live in Florida, and in Florida, the city of Tampa, the port of Tampa, was one of the biggest places where child trafficking was happening. And one of the biggest places in Florida where they were getting children was Disney World. And, you know, people go there and all of a sudden their kids are missing. That never makes the news. Okay. That never makes the news. And then the port of Tampa is only like 60 miles from there. And they put them on these boats and ship them overseas to be sex slaves and God only knows what, you know, turn them into little heroin addicts and all this. You know, this is what the human element does to children. The spiritual element, you know, that's another thing. But I do believe that we do have abductions. Then there are some abductions that are actually true abductions. These people are gone and missing. It's over. We don't find them again. And then we have, you know, the predators that are out there. So it is a 50-50 thing.
I've only just recently found out about how many kids do go missing from Disney.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
It is.
It's unbelievable.
It's only in the last 2 months, I think, that I've been like coming across all this stuff and thinking that's another one. Just
if you think how big and how busy Disney World gets,
well, I suppose
they've only got like 5 different theme parks
within one.
And it's all inside jobs too. I mean, don't quote me, but it's you know, it's a ring that works within these places, and usually it's places that cater to children. You know, where these rings are, and they're underground, and it's very hush hush. And I mean, you look at the big cases that make it out there, in you know, all these missing kids, and they find that it was some stupid pervert that got a hold of the child and took the child off and whatever, killed them, you know, abused them. It's the saddest thing. It is the saddest thing.
It's horrible.
And my prayer is that every last one of them meet God face to face and be dealt with. Yes.
Anyway, Andy, next question.
Next one. So this is from Space Cadet Lottie. She wants to know: have you ever had an encounter with the Fae?
The Fae.
Fae.
What do you think the Fae is?
Fairies.
Fairies. Okay.
Fairies, little people, goblins, gnomes, leprechauns. You can't call them leprechauns.
Little mischievous people.
Yeah.
I don't think I have. I think back on one thing that happened to me when I was about 13. I was sleeping. I was with my mom in our, we had a trailer. We had just moved to Florida, to this one area of Florida. And I was woken up in the night and something was trickling on my face, and it was very tiny. And I didn't know what it was. That would probably be the only thing that would be like that, like something just being very close to my face and kind of illuminated. And I woke up, and then I didn't see it any longer. But I don't know. But if that had ever happened, that would have been what I would maybe have attributed that to. But I no proof, no knowledge of it.
Right.
Thank you.
Another one from Space Cadet Lottie. Has Terry ever seen an angel or an angelic form?
Oh, yes. I've seen several. And there's nothing like it. It is a glorious experience. On the first occasion, I was in my house, and I had been sitting on a couch waiting for my friends to come over, and I had invited them over for dinner. And the front the front door was open and I had a screen door. And I was sitting on the couch waiting for them, and they were a little bit late. And I was kind of a little ticked a little bit because I was, waiting for them to come over. And I'm like, oh, are they going to come or are they not going to come? And all of a sudden in the room, standing right in front of me, sitting on that couch, was a full-bodied angelic. And I was dumbfounded at the beauty. It was a male. He had chiseled perfection. His hair was pure white and it hung in these big loops of white hair that was just absolutely beautiful. And he had the pinkest of cheeks and big blue eyes. And his lips actually had a little tint of like,
Oh, breaking up.
Gone
again.
And as it stood there, I just was like this. I couldn't even move. And I didn't know why he had just appeared right there. Yeah. And I'm sitting there waiting for my friends, Brian and Andy, to come. They were coming over for dinner. And so all of a sudden, he points out the door with his arm like this. And I look down his finger to the end. And as I look down, Brian and Andy's car pull right up to the end of his finger.
Wow.
And I'm like, what does that mean? And now get this, and I tell this truly, they were having the biggest argument two humans can have at that very moment.
Right.
And I'm like so glad they're finally here. I've waited for them to get here. And I'm seeing this angel pointing out the window. And I thought, what does this mean? What does that mean? Why are you showing me that? Okay, they're here. Okay, they're late. Yeah, here they are. What? So I took my eyes off of his finger and looked at the car and saw them both out there. And she's throwing her hands and she's yelling, and I'm like, what's going on out there? And so I open the screen door. I go running out to them and I go, Brian, Annie, I just saw an angel. He was pointing out here to you. And they're in the midst of this thing. Yeah. And I'm trying to break that up and tell them what I've just experienced. And it was the most bizarre thing. It happened just like that. And to this day, I say to them, do you remember the day I ran out to you and told you about that? And Brian and Annie were missionaries to Puerto Rico, Peru, all these different places. And so I thought that what the angel was doing was pointing to me to do what they were doing. So I became a missionary to Haiti for a very short time. And I decided I'm not a missionary,
Yeah.
I'm not good for being a missionary.
No.
I'm too fussy. I was too fussy.
Yeah. I think I'd be a bit like that.
But that was that one. And then there was another time I was in the room and I was sitting and reading a book. Yeah. And I looked up and here is an angel standing in the room. And he spoke to me. And believe it or not, I never wrote down what he said to me. And I don't remember it. But he spoke to me. And I thought, okay. And I thought, whatever, he's telling me something. I wrote it. I didn't write it down. I don't remember what he said. It has left me. And yet he was right there and he was exactly the same as that first angel. He had a white hair and he was in all white garb. They were both in full white garb. And actually very much what you see painted in all the paintings throughout generations of angels. Yeah. Pure white with the draped down long sleeved.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly like that. And I really wasn't one that had focused on any of that or anything like that. So why I saw it that way, I don't know. Yeah. Obviously, that's what they look like, Yeah. And then I had two other ones that came to me while I was pregnant. And I don't know if we talked about that last time or not, but
Oh.
I was about 5.5 months pregnant with my first son in 1973. And this angel came to me and said to me, just like this, he made a declaration. You'll have a son. Name him Jason.
Yeah.
Right.
So I had a son. I named him Jason.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, same identical angel came to me. Now, this angel, however, was not in the white. This angel that came both times was identical. It was the exact same angel. He had a breastplate, which had
Right.
almost a silver tone to it. And he had on almost what would have looked like Roman garb, like the Romans would have worn. It was very similar. Very similar to that. And he said the same thing to me. And that's all he said. You'll have a son. Name him Joshua.
Yeah.
And I did. I had another son. I named him Joshua. Now, the thing about that was in 1973 and 1975, there were no sonograms. You didn't know what you were having. When you had your baby, that's when you found out.
Yeah.
In the 70s, we didn't have anything. So the fact that the Lord sent those angels to me to name the kids, I thought, well, that's bizarre. I didn't name my boys. I didn't. It was what the angel said, and I just said, okay. But that's
what
all.
they told you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is.
Very.
And other angels had come to pull me out of my body. I mean, I've been in like the one came and took me to another city, and I remember being right next to him. Now that one I could not see. He was a light source angel who was always to my left, and if I would turn like this, he would keep going behind me. I never could see him. I couldn't make that connection with him.
He kept the same distance.
He kept his distance behind me to perfection. Actually, you could never see him. But I could feel him. I could hear him speaking to me. He was male. And that's another thing. I think we talked about that last time, not positive, but every angel experience I've had has been from a male voice. I've never heard a female voice.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I did we share last time when I was walking home from the store and I had the $300 in my purse?
No.
No, okay.
I don't think
so. I had gone out one evening. I had to run to the store for the kids. I needed milk and some things for the baby. And I had walked because my husband had the car. So it was only about maybe 10 blocks or something from the house. And I'm coming back. Now it's getting dark and the sun is setting. It's like 7:30. It's starting to get dark. And I'm making haste to go home, but I had cashed a paycheck. So I had about $300 cash in my pocket and in my pocketbook. And so I'm coming through this field that has this railroad track. It's the same railroad track. As a matter of fact, years later, I had the experience with the extraterrestrials on. But so I'm in that same field and I'm coming through there. It was close to the home. That was my neighborhood. And there's three guys, three young men. They look like to be in their mid-20s. And they were standing under the street light. And they were a good, I would say, half acre away from me. Now, this is so unbelievable. Somehow or other, I could hear them talking. And they were saying, I'm going to knock her over, grab her purse. And the other guy said, just kick her, just kick her down. And they were actually talking about beating me up and robbing me.
Wow.
And so I'm walking towards them going, uh-oh, I need to turn around and run in the other direction. And I need to do that now. And in my ear, I heard that voice say to me, ask them if you could borrow a dime.
Right.
Because the phones were a dime back in those days. Yeah. And I thought, oh, and I thought, who said that? Okay. So I'm getting closer. I know I've got all this cash in my purse. I've got my bags. I'm holding my bags. And it's hard to run with bags and a purse and all that, And
when you're pregnant.
I had to be careful because they were planning on attacking me. And anyhow, as I got up to them, I literally said out loud, "Hey, have you guys got a dime? I need to use the phone." And I heard the one guy go, "Ah, shit,"
Yeah.
just like that.
Yeah.
So that was giving them the message, I'm broke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why
What's the
bother
point?
beating her up? Why bother beating her up?
Yeah.
But I tell you truly, I had no clue. I would not have thought that by myself. I was actually very much afraid of being attacked.
Yeah.
And so the fact that this angel just spoke into my ear and told me to say that, to me, was profound.
Yeah.
That's just profound.
Love
So
that.
lots of interactions with high strangeness, I guess you would
Yeah.
say.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah. Right. Next one. So this is from, I'm just looking at the time, so we've got just over 10 minutes to go.
Yes.
Okay.
6 questions left.
Okay.
Think we can do it?
For quick.
Let's find out.
little
Let's
more.
find out. So this is from Space Cadet again. Has Teri ever experienced black magic or a curse against her?
I have had people speak a curse to me, and I've bound them and rebuked them in the name of Jesus and cast it back on them tenfold.
Right.
I'm not buying into their game. I don't play those games. And I think that those people who accept that thinking, I call it stinking thinking. If you're going to accept that thinking, then you do make yourself a victim.
Yes, you
But
do.
if you don't accept it, they can't impose it on you. You have to buy into it. I don't buy into that stuff.
No.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever they send out, if they're cursing you anyway, it comes back to them threefold. So
That's
they're not
what
winning.
Mm-hmm. I send it right back to them. And I tell them, I'm not afraid to say, "Oh, and you want to curse me? I'm sending this curse back to you. Your own words, because I'm not cursing you. You're cursing yourself.
Exactly.
And I'm sending this back to you, your own words, tenfold."
Excellent.
Yeah.
Warren said alien healing. A few examples would be great.
Yeah.
So Warren did Warren did put a message up, but it didn't show. It's about your new book.
Uh-huh.
You've got a new book out, or your latest book, and this is to do with that.
I have, alien healing, a few examples would be great. Oh, okay. Well, there was one example, and that's what I wrote about. I had been very ill in 2000. I'll give you this very short Reader's Digest of this so that we can get to the other questions. But I had been very sick, and I was told I would die. And I had to have a subtotal colectomy. If I didn't, it would be my end. And so I prayed about it, decided to have it. It went well, but there were issues. 12 years later, after all these issues had happened, I experienced an alien healing by a very unique reptilian hybrid. And I did write about that experience. It was very powerful. I had never even realized that we had reptilian hybrids. I had seen a reptilian that year as well with an experience that I had, but I had no clue that this was even a possibility. Now, being a strong Christian, that was very difficult for me to believe that these beings could do something like that. And so that was quite the conundrum for me. And I really struggled with it. And then the Lord told me, "Teri, there's so much you don't understand." And he spoke that to me in 1979 as well. And I thought, yeah, no kidding. I know there's a lot I don't understand. But that's when he showed me that all these other species created out there have different gifts and talents, just like we all do. Some of us play piano. Some of us can sing. Some of us are math wizards. Some of us are English wizards, we all have different gifts and talents, as do they. But they do have technology that can do healing. And at the time, this was 2012, at the time I was healed, I described what he healed me with. And it was this tentacle kind of thing that was 2-pronged, that was on like a real long stem. And it was alive and very biological and moving. Well, I described what I saw, which was like the tentacle of an octopus. Now, in 2019, we have found out that the octopus has healing properties in the tentacles. This has come to light. I could have told you that in 2012 because I did tell you that in 2012. And then science finally caught up to my fact and was able to confirm that this is a fact now. That these and they even think the octopus is somewhat alienistic in nature.
Yes.
You know, they do talk about that. And you know, I'm describing what I saw in 2012, and now they're telling us that's actually very, very true.
Yeah.
So anyway, I won't keep going into that because if we want to get to the other,
I'd love an octopus, but they're escapologists.
Yeah, I'm going to get an octopus instead of a Ouija board.
Yeah, get an octopus, Andy, you'd be safer.
Oh, they are frightening. Let me tell you.
Yeah,
And
well, I don't know.
That thing was frightening.
Right, Rick's wanting to know.
Yes.
Has Teri performed exorcisms?
Oh, yes, many. Very successfully. Whenever people get to the end of their rope, they seem to reach out to me. I've had people say we've had the psychics in, we've had the clergy in, we've had all these different people, you know, from churches that are lay people as well as clergy, and we still have issues. So I'll go and get an assessment of the house. I have to spend a little time there and feel what's happening. Usually it comes to me pretty quickly. I am not psychic, I'm spiritual. So I'm waiting for these things to appear, you know, in their realms. And then I just rebuke them, anoint, pray, and bind them not to come back. And they don't. And I've had so many people write me letters or send me, you know, texts and things like that, emails of the house is still 3-4 years later. We're at peace. We haven't had this issue again. So I know that, you know, the Lord honors those kinds of prayers and the things that that I'm doing that way. And I'm very pleased.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Yes.
Right. Next one is from Warren again. What is Teri's view on the Fatima apparitions that occurred between 1915 to 1917?
Well, there's been many more. Those things have been on buildings. They've been in a lot of different things. Oh boy. The ones that appeared in Florida on windows and things like that were from the heat and the sulfur in the water. And they stained the water, stained the actual windows. And then the sun baked that sulfur, and it looked like Fatima. It looked like all these things. Personally, I'm going to say that there are, don't get mad at me now, there are spirits involved in some of this. And I don't believe that they're all positive, okay? I have my reasons. If you want to email me, you know, at teriling.com, if you want to reach out to me, I can talk to you, or dom@mufon.com. I will share with you, but I'm not believing that those things are all positive. I'm believing that there are some familiar spirits in the works there.
Yeah.
Let me leave it at that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Next question.
Froze. You've both froze.
I haven't frozen.
I think.
No.
Did I freeze?
No. I can see you all, but everybody's moving.
She's gone to sleep.
Okay.
Right. Jason says,
right. You two froze then.
Well,
I can hear you both, but you're not.
Right. I once awoke to what looked like a hologram of a huge skull staring at me. Have you ever heard of anything like that?
Oh, yes, I have. I once woke to a floating head, and it scared the bejesus out of me. That happened when I was about 15, and it was quite frightening. Yes, those things can happen. Those are strong demonic spirits that have power. They have control. And yes, those things can happen. I don't know what the rest of your experience was, but usually an experience like that is trying to teach you something and or cause you to grow in your understanding of that realm, the demonic realm. It's not always 100% negative. It's a learning experience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was the last question.
Yay!
We did get through. 2 minutes.
Give me 1 minute. I don't know what's going on tonight.
I don't either.
I had to restart my computer before, and then everything's just gone off, and I've had to come back in.
Well, you said we'd frozen, and you'd actually frozen, which was all very strange. But
no,
anyway.
but I was still like me dancing about, and you two like nothing. So I don't know.
Could see Deb, but he was frozen and he was breaking up. Yeah.
Technology for you.
It's great when it doesn't work, isn't it?
It's brilliant.
So I missed them last time. I'm gonna have to watch it back.
So Jason's just said thank you for that answer. So that's
nice. I
Yeah.
hope you find out what that was about, Jason, because I do think that is for you personally to learn something.
Yeah.
Those are very strange experiences.
Mm.
But not every experience that even does seem to come from a demonic realm is really a negative. Sometimes it's something that is training you. Remember,
Yeah. No, froze.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Are we back?
Yes, we're back. You're back in the room.
Yeah. At least it wasn't me that time.
No, that's true.
I wasn't sure, so I thought I'd just sit here and wait for everything to restart, see what goes on.
Sheesh.
Yes.
We did it.
That was a quick 2 hours.
We did.
Don't like it when it goes that quick.
I really enjoyed this tonight.
I have. It's been lovely.
It's been great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Terry. It's been great.
And hopefully you'll come back on in the new year.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Sure.
Yes.
I'm sure I'll have plenty to share then.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Rick.
Yeah, go on.
Rick's just saying, would you say thanks to her for my questions, Deb? So thank you for Rick's questions, Terry.
Oh, thank you for answering everyone's questions.
Yes.
Yes, it was
mainly Rick, but a couple from Jason and
Rick, we love you.
Well, Rick.
Our favourite question asker.
Blue Shift hasn't asked any questions tonight, has he?
No, he's been too busy with the banter in the chat.
Slacking. Yeah. So, Deb.
Hello.
What is it on Friday?
Friday's the Christmas special.
And who's on?
We've got Earl Grey and George Mitrovic.
Yes, your friend Earl is joining us.
I love Earl. He is wonderful.
He's amazing. I was chatting to him the other day about what we're going to be doing on Friday. Yeah. It might be a bit of a twist, Deb. I forgot to tell you when I spoke to you today.
Well, you tell him I said hi. I'll try to.
I will. But I'll tell you when we go off because I don't want to spoil it for anyone.
I think you did. I'm sure you did tell me, but anyway. But
no, I didn't. I didn't tell you because I remembered that I hadn't told you.
Right.
And then I phoned you back and forgot to tell you again.
Yeah, no. Oh well.
I'm good at forgetting.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. But at least I know. At least I don't forget that.
Well, yeah, there is that.
Yeah. So we will be back on Friday at 7:30.
Yes.
And then we don't have anything until. Come on, Deb.
I don't know.
6th of
the first week in January.
No. Oh yeah, 6th of January. We've got Preston Dennett and Dolly Saffron on.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice.
Yes.
Yeah. So
all going on.
Look forward to them all, but some are better than others. I'm not naming names. Right, I'm going to shut up now before
you give yourself a bigger hole.
Yeah. So thanks again, Terry, for coming on. Really do appreciate it.
You.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me. And Merry Christmas to all of you out
Merry
there.
Christmas.
Same to you.
That was wonderful.
So hopefully we'll see you in the new year.
Okay.
And obviously I'll keep in contact and we'll sort something out.
Okay.
So see you guys in 48 hours.
Yes.
Have a lovely 2 days of doing whatever it is you do.
Yeah.
I don't know what they do. What do they do?
Well, I made a Christmas cake today, and tomorrow it's decoration day.
I've got work, and
Yeah.
then nothing.
Woohoo.
A load of probably about 800 miles of driving.
Possibly, yeah.
Oh dear. Be careful. Good
And
grief.
that's not even work. That's just going seeing family.
Yeah.
And there's only me that drives, so I don't really get a choice.
No.
But anyway, right. So we'll see you in 2 days.
Yes.
Thanks again, Terry. Thank you, Deb. Thanks
Thank
to
you.
Joe for doing some moderating at the beginning. I don't know what happened middle and end, but anyway. So thanks for everyone in the chat, and we will see you then. So have a great 2 days and stay safe.
See you Friday.
Right. See you later.
Night.
Bye.
you